Vinnie Sunseri, welcome back into the game. I hope you're having a great day.
Yeah, man, having a great day. Thankful to be on the show with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And you texted me a couple of minutes ago. You're in Philadelphia, eating a Philly,
yeah,
you said.
Me and my friend are going to the 76ers Cavs game tonight.
Okay, got to see LeBron James. The first time you ever seen him in person?
Yeah, I have to talk to him about this whole dispute with the barbershop, man.
Yeah, tell him you're there to represent Nick Saban. Tell him, But it is kind of fun to see these barbershops. I know LeBron may not like them, but we like them here in Tuscaloosa, seeing the other side of Nick Saban.
Exactly. Very personable. Get to see the side of coach you don't really get to see a lot of times.
Yeah, and I want to spend a lot of time, obviously, looking at Nick Saban because you were part of the dynasty here. You won multiple national titles. But let me ask you, do you see any change in Nick Saban? Have you seen any change from your perspective?
Little bits and pieces. The core of how coach is and how he runs his team is still the same, but he's done a couple things different. He's lightened certain things up throughout the season, made it a lot more player friendly to where there's not too much pounding on people's body. But he's still the same guy. He's still the first person in the office, last person out, working, going through all the tape, and making sure everybody's in the best position they could possibly be in.
When you look, I was watching Julio Jones and Eddie Jackson and Ryan Anderson. I think Calvin Ridley walked in, and they were talking about how much practice was, and each one of them were debating this. You know, practice is so much harder here in Tuscaloosa than it is in the NFL. Would you buy that? Would you confirm that for us?
That is 100% true. It is a lot more demanding at the University of Alabama than any other professional team that I played for.
Okay. So is it the contact? Is it the mental? Is it the speed? What is it that makes it that much harder?
So Coach Saban loves to run a fast, up-tempo practice so that everybody's having to think on their toes, process information at a fast pace, and also the high level of intensity that goes into it also. So it's not always tackling to the ground, but it's a lot of contact to where you're making contact with shoulder pads, you're going helmet to helmet a couple times in the offensive defensive line, but you're not taking to the ground. And a lot of people think that you do tackle a lot in practice, but you don't. But
Vinny, when you look at Alabama's defense, Nick Saban is, I would say, the ultimate competitor. He competes in everything he does, whether it's golf or whether it's the noon basketball league. It's in practice, and then we were trying to explain this a couple of minutes ago, and I think you can do a better job. The defense is his side of the team. He does this in practice, right? Even though he cares about the offense, he wants to see the defense have a good day, and it sounds like he's been a little irritated because there's still some growing pains on that side of the football.
You know, Coach Saban is very competitive in all aspects. He wants the offense to do well, and he wants the defense to do well. But, yeah, he's very hands-on the defense. And, he's going to be hard on these guys because it's a lot of developmental stuff going on right now. You have a lot of young guys coming into the spotlight now, and there's going to be a lot of pressure on those guys, and they're going to be asked to perform at a high level. And Coach Saban knows what that entails, and he's going to demand it of them every day. And, you got 5 guys leaving for the NFL draft, and you just really got to make sure that they're ready to come in and perform at a high level right away.
Vinny, when you look at the new coaches coming in and you look at, obviously, the new players, you talked about the defensive backs, how much of a challenge will that be, losing all these NFL prospects in the NFL draft coming up in about 3 weeks from yesterday, all the new coaches, and then we sort of have this standard around here that it's going to be a typical Nick Saban defense. Is that fair for us to have those sort of expectations?
I would say it's not fair if this wasn't the narrative every year. Every year you have coaches leaving. Every year you have players that have shown for the last 3 to 4 years that they could play at a high level leaving for the NFL draft. And the narrative is every year, you have these young guys coming in. Will they be able to perform? You have these young coaches. You have different coaches coming in. Will they be able to fit into the scheme that Coach Saban tries to play? And I think the one factor that remains every year is Coach Saban. And as long as you have everything centered around that one person who keeps everybody in check and makes sure that the football team and the football program flows like it can, I don't think there's any way you could pass off this Alabama football team going and trying to compete for another national championship.
Vinny, from a defensive back perspective, can you walk us back to the national championship game? And I don't want you to criticize a fellow collegiate player in the SEC, but what went wrong, or maybe what went right for Tua Tagovailoa and Devontae Smith, and what went wrong for Kirby Smart's secondary?
So from what I saw, I don't know exactly, but it looked like Georgia was playing a cover 2, and it was a little bit of a combination between the corner and the safety. I think the safety was stuck on his hash too much. He didn't get enough width, and I think Coach Smart might agree to that. And then the corner has to get hands on that wide receiver so that he can't run free down the middle of down the seam. And Tua definitely took advantage of it. I mean, he took a 5-step drop, looked across the field, and came back and threw it blind to Devontae Smith, and it was an unbelievable pass, unbelievable catch, and a great outcome for us Alabama fans.
What were you doing? Where were you at when you watched the game?
I was on the sidelines. I was working with CBS 42 for the game, and I was standing next to Holly Rowe, and he took the sack, and I looked at her, and I said, "Holly, this isn't good." I mean, our kicker hasn't shown consistency throughout the game, and we have to get some of this back right now on this play, or this game might be out of reach. He shut me up real quick. He showed his poise, he showed his confidence, and he showed his arm strength all in one play.
Let me ask you, when you look at complacency, winning a national title, is Nick Saban coach harder after winning a national title than maybe if you don't? Maybe if you come up – and it's kind of hard to say this because you won multiple national titles, but is it when you win a national title, it just seems that Nick Saban – has got to fight that complacency entitlement a little bit more than maybe a year that you don't win the national title. Is that fair?
So I agree with that. I think that whenever you win, you don't have that hunger, except I think this year might be a little different because you have so many young guys that weren't contributing as much as they were the year before. And I think you have a lot of younger guys that want to have the success that the guys before them had. So in years past, whenever you win a national championship at Alabama, you had a lot of returning starters. You had a lot of people that were playing the year before and coming back with a sense of entitlement. And I really don't think they'll have to fight that as much this year. You have a possibility of a true sophomore starting at quarterback. You have Najee Harris. You have Devontae Smith. You have all these young guys stepping into this role. And I think that they are going to want to keep the same standard that was set there before them.
Vinny, when you're sitting around and you're looking back at your playing days at the University of Alabama, what is that favorite Nick Saban story that you can share on the airways with us?
Oh, man. There's a bunch of different stories I can share about Coach. I've known Coach since I was, I think, like 7, 8 years old, and my dad was coaching at LSU.
Sure.
My favorite story with Coach is every year we go out on his boat in Lake Tuscaloosa and we go tubing. And one year when we were on the leadership group, he took us out and we were on the tube. I can't remember who was on the tube with me, but we were telling Coach he couldn't throw us off. And to show how competitive Coach Saban can be, he might have been going 60 miles per hour in the boat. I'm probably exaggerating, but he went as fast as he could to make sure that we fell off that tube.
So, I mean, did you injure anything? I mean, or no? I mean, 60. I mean, it's. We see the videos too. We see those videos out the lakes and Nick Saban, the competitive edge. I mean, did you? I mean, were you injured? Did you have to recover from that?
No injury. Coach Saban knows not to hurt the merchandise per se, but he knows how to have fun. He knows how to let loose a little bit. And he knows how to win. That's for sure.
Vinny, what would you like to do, man? What's going to be after football? Would you like to get in the media business? I mean, you make a great interview and obviously a great analyst. I covered your days at Northridge, and you had 144 tackles as a senior back in 2010, and you were all over the field. And I think on the offensive side of the football, you played multiple positions. On defense, you played multiple positions. You look at your transition to the University of Alabama, played in the NFL. What's next? What's next for Vinnie Sunseri?
Yeah, I would love to get into media. I love talking about football. I love talking about sports in general. And having the opportunity to just talk football and sports as a full-time job would be incredible. And whether that's radio, whether that's broadcasting, any type of media outlet that would allow me to kind of step up and try and assume that role would be a pleasure.
Hey, no doubt, no doubt. Listen, man, if we could ever be any assistance, you let us know. Vinny, you had some good opinions on the quarterback situation, and that's like the number one topic in Tuscaloosa, okay? It is the number one topic. Nick Saban doesn't want us to talk about it, but we'll cut this audio out where nobody can hear anything. But your eyes on the quarterback competition. I know you had opinion on Twitter. Share it with us.
So I was on SiriusXM this morning with Marcus Spears, and we were talking about the quarterback competition and whether there actually is a competition, or if Tua should come in, or if Hurts should, because of his resume, be able to come back in and assume the starting role where he left off before the national championship game. And I don't think that's the case. I think Coach Saban is a smart person. I think he's one of the smartest coaches ever in college football. I think he understands what Tua can bring to his team with his feet and his arm. And I think that he has the pocket presence to go from read A to read B to read C and really be calm in the pocket. And I think that's what Jalens struggled with. I don't have anything against Jalens as a person or a player. I think he's an unbelievable athlete. He's a better athlete than I am, that's for sure. But as a quarterback, I don't think he'll have success in national championship games and SEC or college football semifinal games, as it's shown in the past. And I don't think that he can translate into a prolific NFL quarterback at the next level. So I think it's in his best interest to try and switch up positions. And like I was saying this morning, other people have done that in the past and had a lot of success. You look at Braxton Miller and you look at Trey Burton, two people that were playing at a high level at big-time college football, and they made the transition, and they've had lots of success and a long NFL career because of it.
Let me ask you, when you hear people say that Tua uses the entire field, explain that in layman's terms to us.
So his ability to use the entire field is basically broadening his vision to throw every route or having the ability to throw every route that's on the field. So as a defensive person, you try and have a defense that can cover the entire field so that there's not a gap. Well, as an offensive coordinator and offensive scheme, you try and have so many routes on the field so that you try and find the void in the defense. And his ability to throw the out route, to throw a check down, to throw the go ball, to throw a skinny post, to throw a dig is something that you can't really teach, and you just have to be born with it. And he has that ability.
Yeah, you look at a defensive back perspective, and I went out to his practice last when he was a true freshman. And I came back and I because all these true freshmen here at Alabama, you were a 4-star. You get all these highly thought of players. And the first time we get a chance to lay eyes on the players, it's like, man, this guy's an impact guy. I went out the first day and I'm like, man, I couldn't even believe what I was seeing. And then the second practice I went out and then I came back and I told my audience, I said, listen, this guy may take Jalen's starting job. And I took so much heat. And it was not because I was being negative on Jalen. It was just this Tua Tagovailoa is a special elite quarterback, and it's pretty amazing to see that that Nick Saban's went after this guy, and it may transform that position here in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, I mean, I was there for the Sugar Bowl, and one of the things that I saw during the practice was in the 2-minute drill, he went out and went up against not only college-type superstars, but NFL-type superstars. He was going against Ronnie Harrison. He was going against Mika Fitzpatrick. He was going against Anthony Averett. And he wasn't just having success. He was throwing back shoulders. He was throwing wide receivers open. He was showing the poise that a junior, senior quarterback and an elite quarterback in the NFL does. I mean, I had the pleasure to be with Drew Brees for 2 years, and his ability to throw the back shoulder I thought was the best I've ever seen. And Tua Tagovailoa is pretty close to that, being able to throw the back shoulder and throw people open whenever they're covered up.
It's pretty amazing to see this transformation. But competition makes us all better, and that's what we're looking forward to in the spring. And let me ask you about defensive back. When we talk about the alpha dog on the defensive side of the football, Can you force that as a coach, as a player? I mean, obviously, we're looking for leaders, man. When you lose Minka Fitzpatrick and you lose Rashawn Evans, you lose Mr. Payne at the middle, we're looking for alpha dogs on that side. Mack Wilson's certainly going to have something to say about that. Christian Miller, Terrell Lewis. I mean, there's a lot of candidates out there, but let me ask you, can you force the leadership on that side of the football?
You can't force the leadership, but I think making plays forces you into a leadership role. So your ability to make plays, be around the football, and cause disruption forces you into that leadership role because other people start looking to you for advice and for play calling and for signal calling. So I think Mack Wilson can't be forced into that role, but I think his ability to make plays, the pick six against Clemson, him playing all game against Georgia and playing at a high level has allowed him to feel comfort in assuming that role. Because I think that the number one quality of a leader is being able to make plays on the football field.
Vinny, thank you again for spending some time with us, talking some Alabama Crimson Tide football, and let your father know that we said hello. Certainly, it was always fun to watch here as he was doing his magic, a veteran of the coaching business. For update on your father, he's down at the defensive line coach at the University of Florida. So, Sal Sunseri, your father here, and it was always fun to go out and watch him. He brought a lot of energy, great recruiter, and a great coach. Tell him we said hello in Tuscaloosa, and thanks again for spending some time with us here on the game.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, and he says hello for sure, too.